Going to be lesson 4, polynomials, special products. This lesson is found on page number 3 of your notes. So first of all, we're going to start with these formulas that mathematicians have come out after multiplying polynomials for many times. They found a pattern whenever you have something in this format. Okay, letter A is representing the first term, and letter B is representing the second term. Okay, so basically if you have something in this format, you're going to take the first term and you're going to square it, and you're going to add, and you're going to multiply 2 times the first times the second plus the second squared. Same thing is going to happen if I have a minus b squared. You're going to apply this rule. And also if you have something in this format, a minus b times a plus b, and vice versa. It could be a plus b, a minus b. You're still going to have this. So let's see how we apply this. Okay, there's a minor correction here. Letter B is supposed to be a negative, not a plus. So let's change that. Alright, very well. So if you look at this problem, letter A, which formula would apply for letter A? Well, if you notice, it falls into formula number 1. So basically, I would take the first term. So the first term here is x. And basically, according to this, I take the first term and I square it. So I'm going to square it. X squared. Okay. Then the formula tells us to put a plus, so let's go and put a plus. Okay, and in the back of our minds, we're doing 2 times the first times the second. So I'm going to just write it really lightly over here. Okay, you can do this in your head too. So 2 times the first happens to be x, and the second happens to be 5. So if I do that in my head, 2 times x times 5 equals 10x. So that will give me my middle term. And then we'll do plus, and then we'll do the second term squared. So second term would be 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so instead of using FOIL to solve this problem like the lesson before, we can use this formula called the special products to get our answer much quicker. Okay, so let's see another example. Letter B, x minus 5. Okay, x minus 5 falls into the second category. So we'll do the first term and we square it. Good. Then we'll put a minus. And the formula tells us to multiply the 2 times the first times the second. So let me put little numbers there to do my calculations. The first is x. The second is 5. See, first term, second term. Multiply them. 2 times x times 5. 2 times x is 2x times 5 is 10x. And now we do, according to the formula, plus, and we take the second term, which happens to be 5, and we raise to the second power. So 5 to the second power becomes 25. So that means the answer for the letter B is this guy right here. Okay. Again, you don't have to write this. I'm just writing to illustrate what's happening. A lot of students do it there in their heads, or you can do it write it like we just wrote it. Okay. Just to help you. Okay. Let's do the next one. Next one would fall into the first formula. So I'll take the first one and I will square it. So I'm going to here on the side, if I take 3y and I raise to the square, this will become 3 to the second power is 9. Y to the second power is y squared. So in other words, the first term squared is 9y squared. Then according to the formula, I'm going to put a plus, and I'm going to do 2 times the first times the second. Well, according to this, what is my first? My first happens to be 3y, and my second term happens to be 1. Now if I multiply these guys, 2 times 3y is 6y, times 1 is positive 6y. Okay? Alright? So these things that I'm writing here on the side, you can either do it in your head, or you can write it on a scratch piece of paper. Okay? And then the formula tells us to do the last one, and we square it. So it'll be 1 squared becomes 1. Alright, very well. Now we're ready to go on to the next one. Okay. The next one falls into the second formula. So basically, we're going to do the first, and let me circle the answer for the previous one. I'm going to take the first term, I'm going to raise to the square. If you remember, if you raise this to the square, this becomes x to the 4th. Okay. Alright, so then my first term is x to the fourth. And then I'm going to do negative 2 times the first times the second. That's what the formula calls for. So then we're going to do negative 2 x squared times 7y. And this would be 2 times x squared is 2x squared times 7 is 14. So this would be negative 14 x squared y. And the last thing is to put a positive and raise the second to the second power. So I'm going to take the second. If I take 7y, a little scratch paper here, 7y and raise to the square. 7 squared is 49 and y squared is y squared. So this would be 49 y squared, and that's my answer. Okay, alright, now we're going to go on to the next problem, and the next problem happens to fall into the third formula. Basically I have first term minus the second term multiplied by first term times plus the second term. Okay, so basically these repeat, the only thing different is the signs. So according to the formula, I take the first term, which in this case is x, and I square it. Then I put a minus, and I take the second term and I square it. And what's 4 squared? 4 squared becomes 16. And the next one, you see you have a number in front. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to just keep the number in front for a second. I'm going to apply the rule. The rule says take the first one and you square it, put a minus, and take the second one and you square it. What is 2 to the second power? 4. And now I would apply the 3 using distributive property. So my answer would be 3x squared minus 12. And that would be my answer for this problem right there. Alright, let's continue on. Next one is we still continue to use the last formula. So basically we're going to take 6x and we're going to raise to the square. If you notice, 6 squared becomes 36 and x squared becomes x squared. So in other words, the first term is 36x squared. And we take the second term, which is 7, and raise to the square, so put a minus. 7 squared becomes 9. Okay, again, you don't have to write this, I'm just writing this to illustrate. Most of this can be done in your head, okay, you just do it mentally, okay. You just gotta be careful with, sometimes students just write 6x squared, but it's supposed to be 36x squared, okay. Alright, so let's try to do the next one. Next one, I'm going to take the first term, and I'm going to square it. So if you remember, 3 raised to the second is 9, and x squared raised to the square, what are you going to do with these exponents? You're going to multiply. So it would be 9x to the fourth. So this would be 9x to the fourth minus the second term square, so it would be 5y raised to the square. So 5y raised to the square becomes 25y squared. Alright, very well. So that means this will be 25y squared. And that's my answer for this problem. Okay. Alright, very well. So these are the answers for my problem. Let me change a little bit here. Whoops. Alright. So this will be better. Alright. Now what I would like you to do is to stop the video and try to practice problem number 1. And once you finish these problems, let's turn the video back on, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so stop now. Okay, welcome back. You probably have tried these problems, so now let's see what you got. This one I would apply the first rule, and I'm just gonna bring a little piece of paper here that has the rules so I can take a look what the rules are. So in this case, I will be using rule number 1. Let me put it there. Alright, so then you're going to take the first one, you're going to square it, and I forgot to tell you, oh, never mind, it's okay. I was going to correct this, but this is the same problem as the example, but that's okay. Take the first one and square it. Then you do plus 2 times the first times the second. So 2 times x is 2x times 5 is 10x. And then 5 squared is 25. If you notice, this time I'm not going to do the calculations on the side. I'm just going to do it mentally. So I'm going to demonstrate that I'm doing these on the go. Okay. All right, let's keep these over here. And basically I'll be using the second formula now. So take the first one and you square it, it becomes 4x squared. And then we're going to put a negative because there's a negative there. So 2 times 2x is 4x. 4x times 7 is 28x. And then we do plus the second one. Second one has to be 7. So 7 squared is 49. So that will be my answer for that one. Alright, the next one, you take the first term and you square it. So 4x raised to the square becomes 16x squared. Then you're going to do a minus. 2 times 4x is 8x. 8x times 1 is 8x. And then for the last term will be positive. 1 squared becomes 1. And that's our answer for this one. Alright, the next one. Alright, we're still using the second rule because I see a minus right there. So let me move the rules down here so you can take a look. Alright, so we're going to do a squared raised to the square, so it becomes a to the fourth. Then we're going to do minus 2 times the first gives us 2a squared. 2a squared times 5b gives us 10 a squared b. And the last one will be 5b raised to the square, which will give you 25b squared. Very well. Now let's go on to the next one. Next one falls into the third formula. Basically, I take the first term and I square it. I put a minus, and I take the second term, 3, and square it, so I give you a 9. That's my answer for that one. This one, you're going to keep the 3 on the outside. Multiply these two. Basically, this will be x squared minus, take the second one and square it, so 5 squared is 25. Once you do that, you apply the distributive property. So you're going to get 3x squared minus 75. So that's our answer there. Alright, let's move the problems up a little bit. And alright, let me move down my formulas here. Just keep that in mind. I mean, yes, you have to commit this to memory, but right now we're just keeping them close to for reference. Okay, according to this, the following rule would be the last one. So basically you take the first term and you square it, so 5x raised to the square becomes 5x squared. I'm going to put a minus, and then you're going to take the second term and you square it, so it would be y squared. Very well. The last one, again, same rule. Take the first one and you square it, so 2y raised to the square is 4y squared, minus the second term raised to the square would be 9z to the fourth. Okay, so this concludes our lesson on special products, so multiplying polynomials by using special products. Go ahead and stop the video and try your assignment now. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.